So let's get started. So today is August the 13th, and Federico is not available today, so I'll be hosting the call. He's at in Peru right now because there's a conference there about legal tech and innovation, and he will be presenting about Kleros and the decentralized justice in general, and also talking about Kleros Enterprise and the integrations that we are getting with governments. So it's pretty interesting because right now users from Lemon, the fintech that is integrated with Kleros from Peru, they can already access Kleros if they have a dispute. So I'm sure that lots of people from the legal world in Peru will be learning about this integration in this in this conference. Okay, today we have William that is coming back from the retreat in Iceland, and I think everyone is very curious to know what what were your findings, what was the research that was done there, like who was there, and if we can expect maybe some new experiments using Kleros from the ideas that you had there.
Yeah. So, there were people from a variety of different projects across the ecosystem. Most notably, people from the sort of Filecoin world. There are a couple of people from the EF. So, researchers, some like at least a couple academics. So a mix of industry and academic people, that come from different backgrounds. Broadly, we thought about problems related to public goods funding. So, it is currently the case that some of the kind of centralized foundations and institutions in different ecosystems are sort of directly providing public goods funding, like the EF provides a certain amount of public goods funding. The Filecoin Foundation and Protocol Labs, which is also sort of affiliated with the Filecoin ecosystem, provide a certain amount of public goods funding for like research in their ecosystem. And there's questions about how to decentralize that. What are the right mechanisms to use? Particularly Gitcoin, as I understand, is moving to having like more different mechanisms be used for the assignment of matching funds for their funding rounds. In the past, it was all just sort of quadratic funding, and like all of the matching were kind of like worked via the same mechanism. And now, as research has progressed, and we have all these different mechanisms for how you could potentially award matching funds, like there's the question of which one do you use, and how, if you have like a pot of money, what's the decentralized way that you could split the money over the different mechanisms? So broadly, we thought about projects like that. I was involved along with Clement in thinking about the specific question of how do you split funds over different mechanisms. There's like ideas of using, like different voting systems where like maybe the members of your community, you're something to be GTC holders, or like some like, other, any community that has some kind of notion of like participants that are voting, be a token.
Sorry that it got cut. Did you start talking again? Because I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to prompt me to start talking, so I can resume my description of the residency if you want.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. No worries. Yeah. So broadly, in general, people were thinking about different ways that you can fund public goods, that you can measure like which proposals have impact, and how to like you make community decisions around funding them. And lots of interesting questions that I worked on with Clement, particularly on if you have like lots of different mechanisms, how do you decide like where you put pools of money so that like you will then use that mechanism to assign like sort of like a meta decision process. How do you decide like how you're going to decide? And you can split the money over like the different things you're going to do. So that's like a bunch of like technical decisions that are nonetheless really important. Like what are the right voting mechanisms that you can get your community engaged with in like in a centralized way without sort of overburdening how they think. And particularly something that like people who've been involved in this kind of public goods funding in the past worry about is you don't want the funding to just sort of like be, in their words, peanut butter spread where everything kind of gets the same. You really want mechanisms that like pull out like the good projects that give them much more funding if they deserve it. So I think like we had a kind of presentations on the last day that I believe are mostly public. Clement, I think, talked about some of these kinds of meta funding ideas. I also talked a lot on SBT weighting ideas. This touches at the research that I've been doing in the past with like SBT fund weighting for Kleros juror selection, where here for Kleros, the idea is that you want to select jurors in a way that people have kind of different social characteristics, so that your panel of jurors reflects different viewpoints, like a crowd of people with different experiences, because social science research shows that like diverse panelists can lead to better decisions. And then you have the same kind of idea for public goods funding. You want to have like public goods that are broadly popular in a way that cuts across social differences. So related problems there, applied some of my previous thoughts, and kind of like by thinking about the problem from a slightly different angle, hopefully that will help me make progress more broadly thinking about these ideas. So lots of good ideas. I suggest people who are interested check out the talks we have on the residency's website.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw that Clement also was working on a paper about how to distribute lucky rewards on Ethereum, right? To
Yep.
fund public goods.
Yeah, like the moonshot version of this is that conceivably, like instead of having a foundation like in the Ethereum Foundation, distribute public goods, like how could you build that into like a consensus protocol as part of like the rewards, block rewards or something. It's not clear whether that'll make sense for any given blockchain, but like what's like the right way to decide like the right funding level, but also like how funding is attributed if the voters are like block producers.
That's crazy. Like an idea for the future. And did people talk a lot about AI and using AI for this for evaluating contributions or things like that?
Yeah, totally. What's the right way to do this without like enshrining like a single AI? How do you get like like AIs competing against each other in a way that is ultimately reviewed by human beings? That's something that is discussed.
Great. Yeah, I'll be sharing the links to the research in the group. I think there are some recordings as well. Like if anyone is interested, you can go to the Telegram group. And well, thanks, William. I hope we can have Clement next week to talk about his research and his perspective. And I think maybe Fortunato, would you like to share your updates? There is a lot going on in Kleros Curate with the new permanent Curate and well, lots of disputes as well, right?
Yes, exactly. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So yeah, a lot of updates starting from last week. We shared the Kleros monthly dev update, and alongside with all the updates related to courts and all our apps, we also share the update related to Curate, what we worked on last month. So we updated policies, parameters for submission. We updated, as usual, we renewed the Scout incentive program. And on this note, we also are working on 2 projects that will be rolled out in the near future. I would say around 1 or 2 months. And these two projects are the first one, which is Permanent Curate, which was already mentioned by Jean, and it's a permanent version of the current Curate. And maybe we will present it more in detail in the next week or in the upcoming weeks, since we are working on the last item of the interface and merging with the court. The other one is a very interesting pilot case for the use of Curate for real-world assets. In the specific case is biocertification of dairy products. I think in February, we organized a webinar on this topic, and it is extremely interesting because the whole ecosystem of certification in the real world in Web 1 and Web 2 is a bit broken because the incentives are not exactly appropriate. For example, if I have my own farm or winery and I want to certify my products, I have to ask and pay a third party company. And there is an inefficiency here because since I pay someone to get certified, this certifying company, doesn't really have an incentive to tell me, no, your product is not certified. So it feels like I am forced to pay this amount. And for me, it's unfair because it's the only way to get certified. But also for the final user, they will never be sure about how this certification is carried out and if the certification was compliant or not, or if it happened just because the certifier wants a recurring client. So this use case of Curate will verify that farmers are compliant with specific regulations. We will start with regulations in the European Union. And yeah, in the next few weeks, we will be able to launch the pilot case. And this will be extremely interesting because it's a real world use case, and probably the incentives will be really high for the community for participate and for verify whether whether a farmer are effectively compliant with the regulation for biological products. Other than this, as usual, we have our Scout registries for curation of contract metadata, where we distribute rewards for users who help us growing our registries. In very simple terms, if you're a user, you find a smart contract, and whether if it's a token, ERC20 or different standard, you take the smart contract, provide information about the smart contract, the name, the website, a short description, and if the information you provided get accepted, you'll get a reward. So we had more users in the previous month, so we are distributing rewards, and also with the increasing price of PNK, I really recommend anyone who's following to join this incentive program, because it can be a good investment, especially because, as mentioned, the rewards are distributed in PNK. The reason why we run this program is that we are basically the largest decentralized source of contract metadata, and we partner with several players in Web3 like BlockScout, MetaMask, and also Etherscan. And for Etherscan, I mean the whole Etherscan family, so also for other chains. And indeed, about Etherscan, they recently celebrated 10 years that they are live. So yeah, we have been partnering, I think, already for almost 2 years with Etherscan, and we provide them information about contract metadata. So yeah, I would say these are the main highlights from my side.
Great. So just to recap, so people can now like send tag addresses on the Kleros Scout lists. They can earn PNK. I think the average per submission is around $10, right? In PNK. And of course, if you stake, you also get the 30% APY. And if you tag the projects that you are a fan of, like that you follow, that are not tagged yet, you also help the project get a bit of visibility because it will be tagged on the respective block explorer. And also, one interesting thing is that Zerion or Zerion, I don't know how to say the name of the wallet, they consider various lists for getting a verification on their wallet, and you need 3 lists to appear as verified. And if you get tagged in Kleros, you also count as one verification. So this is a better process than, for example, projects listing tokens themselves, because then you have a problem that there's like a single person deciding what goes in the list, what doesn't go in. In Kleros, everyone can basically tag their own project and auto certify. And so people are getting can also earn money by challenging items and making removal requests, right?
Yeah, exactly. The ways you can participate into this ecosystem are really, the list is really long. As you mentioned, you can submit a project, whether it's your own project or a project that you invested in, and you want to give this project more visibility and more information, because if this project is verified by Kleros Scout, it will appear as verified in the partner websites, the partners that I mentioned earlier, like Etherscan, MetaMask, and so on. And or if you just want to contribute to grow this registry, and you will get rewarded in PNKs, as you said, and you can stake these PNKs and get the APY that right now on Gnosis chain and is around 30%, same on Ethereum. And it's not just this 30%, but you can also be drawn as a juror. In the last 2 or 3 months, we had an increase. We saw an increase in cases in curation court. This means that if you stake now, you will not just get the APY, but also a high chance of being drawn as a juror. And if you vote coherently, you will get the juror rewards. You'll get rewarded for voting coherently. And Jean mentioned this specific month, we also launched the removal rewards. So if you find a very old entry that is not compliant anymore, you can request a removal and you will be rewarded. If the removal is successful, you will be rewarded also for the removal requests. And in addition, also the challenges, and the challenges are valid on all the registries we have live. So not just on Scout, but on Scout registries, but also on SEER registries. So if you're not really an expert with contract metadata, you can look at the market they are trying to be verified on the SEER registry. And if you find that the market does not comply with the policy, you can challenge it, and if you win the dispute, if the challenge is successful, you will get around $100 instant bounty from successful challenge. And the process is quite easy because we have a policy in each registry. So you basically read the policy, check if the submission are compliant. If you find a problem, you flag this problem, you initiate the challenge, and if you win, you'll get the bounty. So there are many ways to participate in the Curate registries.
That's awesome. Yeah. And one more thing about Curate is that we are testing this permanent Curate, this Curate where you need like a permanent deposit to add the list to add items to the list. So if you want to participate, you can go also to the Telegram group. There's a message from Green there that you can find where you can find the link. I think it's pretty cool. It's something that we have been talking about for a long time, and this is maybe a simplified version, but it already covers lots of different use cases. So I'm pretty excited to see some applications using this. There's interest from a DeFi application, right?
Yeah, exactly. Also, it's a great point if you want to participate because we are testing it. So if you have any suggestions or something that we could add, it will be great to receive some feedback. And yeah, exactly. As you said, we have already interest from two actually potential use cases of the permanent Curate. One will be with verifying vaults comply. We didn't define the policy yet, but once we will have ready, we will share it. And the other one is for verifying that VC funds operate within certain rules. But yeah, hopefully maybe in the next week we will invite these partners with whom we are working, and we will provide more information about the vision of this permanent version of Curate.
Yes, maybe next week or the next one. The interesting part is that they reached out to us. It was not us that reached out to them. So there's interest in creating these lists and interest in these mechanisms. Okay, so I think that's enough of Curate. We could continue talking for for more time, but let's go to Marcos because we had some interesting new cases this last week.
Yes, hey, how are you? So yes, from Kleros Enterprise, this week we had some news. In first place, we received some cases from Junin and from Lemon. Remember, I think we already mentioned last week what we are doing with Junin, but it's something similar what we have been working with the people of Mendoza. And I think this week, this week we created the first 5 cases for Junin. Before that, we were working with some pilot cases, but the ones that we submitted or created this week were from the current integration that we are working with them. So jurors, pay attention to your wallets and notifications because we will keep creating more cases as soon as we keep receiving cases from people from Junin. From Lemon, we too have one case in QU that is going to be created most probably tomorrow or at the end of this week. Then on Monday, I had an kind of an interview about Kleros in an Argentinian university. We were talking about Kleros in general and more specific about Kleros Enterprise vertical. It was very interesting and it was recorded. So in case someone wants to review what we are working with Kleros Enterprise, you can see this recording. Then we are testing some AI tools for anonymization. Remember that all these cases are coming from Junin, MedLife, and while Mendoza too need to have like personal information or private information that cannot be published in the blockchain. So we are anonymizing all this information, and for this we are testing some AI tools that make more efficient our work. Then we do have another call with a participant of the fellowship because this guy, he wants to replicate what we are doing with Junín and Mendoza in Spain. So if we have more updates, I will tell them here. And Wang Mian has been working with a European fintech. For the moment, we cannot say the name because it's like we're just doing the first steps. That it's interested in Kleros escrow. So again, that's all the information I can give for the moment. But if we have more information, I will mention it here in the next weeks. That's all from my side.
Great. So I have like a follow-up question about Junín. I remember we received 2 cases, I think maybe 1 month ago or something, and then two cases last week and 3 cases now. So the first 2 cases were just a test, right?
Yeah, we're part of the pilot case. The jury from Junín was very happy with mostly with the justifications. For them, the justifications are the most important thing because all this is to make more efficient their work. They were happy with that, so we started working with the real current cases. These were the 2 cases that we created. I think it was last Wednesday, and the other 3 that were created yesterday.
And I think one of the questions from the community was how are these the results of these cases and these justifications help them? So they're basically being used as like a consultative manner, right? They inform the jury what is basically the public opinion on the case, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a very interesting question. For the moment, this is being consultative, as you just mentioned. So the thing is that the jury from these jurisdictions are receiving a lot of cases, and they are maybe not able to. They don't have enough time to resolve all these cases. So the justifications from the jurors are helpful for the juries because, yeah, again, it's more efficient for them. They are able to see the justification, maybe check the original evidence too, but just more briefly, let's say, and the justifications help them to make more efficient their job.
Great, and always like in the end goal is always to get at some point these results to be valid whenever it's feasible, right?
Yeah, exactly, and that's something that we could do, like the Kleros jurors resolving cases for, like, let's say Mendoza or Junín, and give the chance to the Kleros jurors to make the final decision. But well, for that, of course, there are some bureaucracy stuff that we should go through.
Great. Yeah, let's hope we make some progress on that front.
Yeah. No, it's a lot. These kind of things are a lot. The one that we're working with consumer, let's say, consumer defense department, that's a big step too. So yes, I think that these are big steps. Of course, there's always something more, but these are big steps.
Great. Yeah, I think these are the main updates for today. We published a report of the development updates for July. I recommend everyone to check it because there's a lot of information there, lots of alpha if you are looking for it. And I think probably the main takeaway is that we are now in the final run before audits on Kleros V2. So that's what everyone is expecting, and I think it will be like the biggest thing to happen to Kleros yet. So yeah, let's go keep talking on Telegram. I'll send you the links of the Iceland Retreat and the latest disputes for anyone curious to learn more. So see you on Telegram.
Bye bye. See you.
Bye, guys. See you next week.